Well, I'd like to say a very first thank you to Auntie Halima Yelade and her platform, um, Time Out with Halima, for giving us the opportunity as women, as sisters, and especially in this international month celebrating women as a commemoration of the International Women's Day. Thank you. Thank you very much for this. My name is Dayo Benjamin Laniyi. I'm a global enterprise communicator. I'm a media and communications persona, personality, celebrity, MC. I am the executive managing director of the Doxa Digital Group of Companies, Nigeria, headquartered in the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja. And I am a wife, um, mom of four. I call them the Fantastic Four, three sons and a baby girl who's not really a baby girl. She's a lady girl going to be sweet 16 this year. I have three dogs. I love music. I'm very musical. Gardens. Um, I love to inspire myself and others with me, and I'm an intentional joy giver. I think more than anything else, that probably would. I'm a woman of faith. I love God, and through God, I've learned to love me. It all began one day when I went to perform the national anthem of the Royal Netherlands in Abuja on the highly esteemed visit and prestigious um, visit of the Deputy Prime Minister of the Royal Netherlands in Nigeria. I can't remember how many years ago it was, but that day I had hired equipment, and the equipment, to my own understanding then, the microphone wasn't working because the sound didn't come out like it should have. And when I got home and my husband saw my face, he asked what happened. I told him I felt that the ground should open up and I should walk out of that place. And he promised that day to get me equipment to go with my voice. And he kept his promise with his very first financial breakthrough, very significant one. And I was 7 months pregnant. He had me go apply for a visa to Germany, and I went and I purchased what became the first outdoor rig equipment across the River Niger and in the north, situated in FCT Abuja. That is how Doxa was born, because of my voice. Also, so in terms of enterprise, that's how Doxa was born. And then as an MC, my friend Phil for Red Sapphire, while I was working at the Abuja Sheraton Hotel and Towers in the sales and marketing office, requested me to come and host and MC an event. And I was nervous. I couldn't imagine that she wanted me to host such a significant event. I went, and I was terrible. I introduced everybody as Excellency, Excellency, Excellency. And, but at the end of the day, Phil paid me 50,000 naira. I don't think our clients were impressed with her. She never told me that, but that's how come I came onto the spotlight in the FCT, and gradually, collaterally, organically over time have become what is now celebrated as the #1 position in the Federal Republic of Nigeria. I think my most principal challenge has been me. And I believe that it's a summary of every challenge that I have ever faced, because once I was able to get an understanding that I was my challenge, and I set my heart and my will not to be depressed, not to be frustrated with me, not to see myself as a failure and a serious disappointment, but just to see myself as really persisting and coming through whatever a challenge was and emerging on the other side of every challenge as a champion. It taught me to understand the value of not giving up, never giving up, of being strong in the face of several adverse um, situations and people with adverse behavioral attitudes. And it taught me not just to respect people, but when you respect yourself, you grow a pedigree in your professional space, but most importantly, in your personal space. And I just learned to, people say don't take yourself seriously. I take myself seriously. I take myself seriously as a professional. But much more than that, I take myself seriously as a very uniquely collateral professional and one who always, over the years, throws her best at everything, small, great, significant, or celebrating. So yeah, the greatest challenge was me, and I've learned to just confront that and become better every time at being a better me, doing whatever I'm called to. I call myself a servant. I am a Ajishe in Yoruba, the one who goes on an errand and always returns with an answer. That's what I aim and endeavor every time to be and to become better at. By being deliberate, intentional, and desiring the best all round, but also accepting that I'm not able to do it. I don't have a balancing act. I just have a very earnest and sincere commitment to trying to make things work like they should, together for good, and trusting that because I trust God, He always, in some way, when I look around me and see how it's worked together for good, that's what makes me such a grateful, submitted, and very humble daughter of faith of God. A believer. I'm humbled by God. I'm humbled. I just feel so preserved by Him because I tell myself I'm not that brilliant. I'm not that coordinated. So at the same time, He tells me you are. I never knew I could multitask. And I always saw myself as, I always used to hear growing up, not because my late father said it to condemn me, but to correct me, but he didn't. And many times fathers are challenged in this same way that my father was challenged. You want to correct, but you end up saying what condemns. You're a disappointment, just trying to challenge me to not be a disappointment. And that kind of warped my shape. It affected my mental sense of celebrating me. So it's a lot of self-limiting beliefs grew around that in my life. But I eventually, over seasons, times, and being married to a good man, honestly, my husband would tell me, Dayo, if I could talk like you talk, if I could, Dayo. And he would tell me these things, and then I started to think to myself, is this serious? Yeah, okay. Well, yeah, I could do that. I'm very good at running errands. Very, very good at running errands. And in running errands, my husband would tell me to go and do this and do that, and I would do it. And over time, it's become what I do. And I make others do and do well. COVID has reshaped everything. Post-pandemic, post-lockdown, the world has become a risk experience world right now. Socioeconomically, culturally, all of that. COVID protocols of distancing. Yeah, we all know that. For me, I'm a COVID survivor. In November, I caught COVID at a wedding event. I didn't go there as an MC. I went there as a friend to my old school friend whose daughter was getting married. Small event in Lagos. Somehow I got exposed. I'm not sure if it was the mic or somehow I got exposed. So now you can see even my mic wears a face mask. Haha, just teasing. But what I'm simply saying is that I am, I am more cautious. I've learned to be cautious rather than concerned, afraid, and I survived. And I'm grateful to God that I survived. That is a testimony. Um, Recently, I just had my first jab vaccine, and like some people say, oh, that's a risk. It's a risk both ways. Whether you take it or you don't take it, you're taking a risk. So we're all in a risk-taking world right now. So I've taken my risk this week. You're taking your risk by not taking it. I just hope that at some point we all come to the place where we are both specimens. Whether you take it, you're a specimen. Whether you don't take it, you're also a specimen. So it's a great human lab, and yeah, so that's the world we're in, a world full of risks, and it shaped everything. For me, it shaped business, reshaped and reset our business, recomposed it, and gave us a new structure and a new strength. Doxa Digital has emerged now with one of the country's #1 hybrids when it comes to hosting events physically and virtually. It's also trained me to become a content producer, developer. I've always done that with my events, but more so now on a virtual platform and in terms of the sequence that goes into that. So right now, second to none, I'm sincere, when it comes to hosting an event online. It's not just DBL, I'm not an MC, I'm an enterprise communicator, and if there's anywhere it has become evident, GEC, Global Enterprise Communicator, it's happened right now, post-pandemic, in this hybrid world of global events on a virtual platform, being hosted from a physical space. Yeah. So yeah, and then also what I found out is that it killed the redundancy in and around me. I mean, before now, when the events were happening and things were being sequenced at a physical contact level, physical connection level, there were a number of things that had kept me out because of political dispensation and affiliations. Now, people just want professionals. They want people who can do what needs to be done, and you can't just MC anymore. You've got to moderate. And I'm grateful to God that my collateral over the years, my 10,000 hours on Redial, has done that for me. So yeah, the COVID-19 experientially has been what it's been for humanity. And for me, as an expression of humanity, it's become one of the most creative, instructive, re-engineered times and seasons of my life in the face of human adversity. Being a leader and a woman, simply being woman. You were born to lead when you were born woman. Sincerely. Whoever you are as a woman, you are a community influencer, shaper, nurturer, and giver of life and legacy. It's something you organically evolve into. Even if you've been in a better place, ultimately and eventually as a woman, you do come to a realization, a reality, that there's so much more to you than what you have not given yourself to. And in that moment, it's opportune for you to be better and not bitter. Many things make many women, all of us, unhappy. But that unhappy, once we become women of intentional, purpose-driven lifestyles, we begin to embrace happiness in our self-worth and in our courage to transactionally embrace opportunities that come to us. Optimally, you just work to optimize the opportunity, and you find that the woman in you is truly the leader for you. So I believe that when women come to that place, we transit. And being at the top, therefore, I think the greatest challenge for women at the top is something called the Imposter Syndrome, where women who are very successful in their fields, various and varying endeavors, see themselves as frauds. They don't really think they are genuinely worth the accolades, the commendations. They tend to always put themselves down. That's women who are really, really at that point of inflection, of excelling. How do I know? It was my experience. I didn't know what an imposter syndrome was, but I knew I used to have that, that tension in me, like, just because you can talk doesn't mean you're that brilliant. Look, these thoughts, where do they even come from? But they were my reality and made me vulnerable, made me afraid even. But somehow, my braggadocio, I will keep covering it up. But how long do we keep doing that? And one day I went to visit my baby sister and she was talking about, God bless whoever, I don't remember who the lady is that came to talk to them in their office and was identifying certain self-limiting patterns, trends in women and in workspaces. And she mentioned this. And as soon as my sister said it, I said, I'm sorry, do you mean there is something called, I mean, this thing is identified as a psychologically captured, classified cause and effect of certain attitude and behavior? She said, yes. My goodness, I was delivered in an instant. That was the end of imposter whatever. I didn't need to go see any psychoanalyst. I just thought to myself, what? I've been living with a cockroach and afraid of, honestly, it was like a cockroach situation. Just smacked it on there, smashed it and had it thrown out. And that was the end of my imposter syndrome experience. But I found out that, yeah, it's something very real to a lot of women. So we're at the top. But what I would like to say is, if you're at the top, just know this. You're a teacher and you're raising a generation. Be original and be organized in whatever you've got to do to throw it out there. And the power of your purpose will always preserve you, stimulate you, but most importantly, keep your dream alive. Looking good every time and always, not just for me, but for anyone you see who has that reference and that identity, fashionista, whatever you want to call her. It's deliberate, it's intentional. The way you're dressed is the way you'll be addressed. Looking good is good business. These are phrases I love because it's what I've found to be true about engagement, whether it's local or global. When I arrive at the UN, I make sure I am dressed to profile my nation as a woman of decent dignity and a pedigree of African royalty. There is no question. When you see DBL coming into the UN courtyard, that I represent my country, my nationality, and my nativity. I love dressing up, not for anyone. I don't dress to kill. I dress to live as an expression of life. I love colors. I will wear the colors. The colors express me. When I say, if you're in doubt, wear red. To be happy, wear your yellows. Take your colors and do that, and you'll find it always flows through you. What's the other part of the question that you should, what's the other part of the question? Yes, why is it important? Because it's part of my expression. Why is it important for a butterfly to be full of colors? Because that is how you're identified as a butterfly. That is how we're identified as women. When a woman is all black, she's what? A widow. Wear your colors. Live life to the full. Well, you're a widow or you're a lawyer. But even you know, don't wear sorrow. Make your black corporate. Make it a statement. So whatever you're doing, it's important for women not to look like woe men, women with woe. But let them look like women with wombs. Your beauty just expressing itself until it births something new and transgenerational now through you. Okay, let me take the A part of the question first. Why do I think it's so? Because humanity was placed under one, in fact, the single most extreme experience in our millennial history. Marriages and couples and families were brought to stay together under a lockdown scenario that they had never prepared for, one, mentally, emotionally, socially. Nothing prepared any of us for that. Everybody had to go home or be in a place of engagement socially with people around them. it tested everything. Tested our attitudes, it tested us in the place of our beliefs. Husband and wives that had been living lies, well, now you have to face the truth. And if it came to fisticuffs and divorce, that's just the reality coming through. I don't think there's anyone or any relationship that wasn't tested. Everyone was tested in this period. And the triumph of the post-pandemic, post-lockdown experience is that a greater number were able to reset relationships, re-engineer and recompose the values and the value propositions of their lives, of their professional engagements, and certain things. It became clear this was vain. I'm not going to pursue that anymore. What is more important is relationship, is raising these children. Suddenly you ask yourself, do I really know my children? Do my children know me? Does my spouse really feel me? It's all of a sudden it's just me and my spouse in this room. And what's in the room? That was where maturity, immaturity, and different things began to spill over. It was also an incredible time for voices to begin to speak out, converge and come together to make a difference for people who were going through this kind of destructive, painful experiences. It also retrained people in patience, and endurance and long suffering. So having said that, what would I advise people in abusive relationships? Number one, physical abuse is not something in any way I encourage anyone to remain enduring. You need time to be separate. I'm not saying divorce, but you need time to be separate, to separate yourself from the attacker, from the violator, whoever it is. You need to be able to reset that relationship, and that will only come with truth and with true counseling, godly counseling. The other thing I would say is where it continues. You see, for women, I'd just like to say this: you must find what makes you happy. You must get an education. You find some people, the abusers will start telling you, you shouldn't go back to school, you don't need to go to work, you have to, because a lot of women had to rearrange their lives around a pandemic afflicted world. A lot more women needed to be at home for the family, for the children, and because that's who a woman is. A woman is first and foremostly the caregiver, the nurturer. So yeah, it happened. It is happening. That's our reality. And I would say that embrace the reality and come through to a place of reprioritizing your goals and reworking your strategies so that you are able to arrive at a place of not COVID impacted, but courage, reset, lifestyle ideals, and trajectories. First and foremost, I'd like to deal with her husband doesn't allow her syndrome. Yeah. We live in an environment where men are alpha male, a patriarchal society. Socioculturally, it has been so. And I'm not going to say it's going to continue to be so, but endemically, it will always be a prevalent challenge, if you want to call it that, the husband factor. And you and I have to learn to be wise women. They say a wise woman learns to build her house. Her house is not her home. God is not wicked. It's not, you build your destiny. There is a wisdom God has given a woman to navigate through very extremely, significantly challenging experiences in her life. If she learns to be demure, less volatile, and less vocal, it doesn't silence your voice, but you watch when you're going to release your voice to release a message. In the meantime, there's a lot you can get done while you are, quote unquote, busy with the cooking pots. And you'll be amazed how much you can turn around just by being still, by being demure and handling your opportunities with a lot more feminine discretion than feminine aggravation. So, having said that, The husband factor is there. I have a husband, and I promise you, my husband is alpha male, alpha Nigerian. So it's all in there. What do I do? Submarine tactics. Somebody says submission is a dirty word. If you treat anything dirty, it's like having a dog in your house, you don't give it a bath, it's a dirty dog. If you treat submission like that dog, it's dirty. For me, my submission is like my dog, clean. I keep it clean. It has to be deliberate. It has to be intentional. You work at it, and you will come out with the right kind of engagement. It's not perfect. Marriage is not about perfection. The husband who is perfect to a yes man. Oh no, of course. No. That isn't life. The reality is, it's those things that make a woman not a boxer, but a gift box. So that every time she goes out, there's something new that is emerging. So I would say, the husband factor, let it be. Now, how do you keep working your dream? You own your dream, hold your dream, never let go of your dream. Never let go of you. Keep it down, write it down. When you get into communities, there are places, I'm not talking about friends who just waste time telling you about what their husband is not doing or what their husband is doing that makes you wonder why your husband isn't doing what their husband is doing. No. I'm talking about finding places, companies of women where by faith and by moral and mature instruction, godly instruction, whether you're Muslim or Christian, you are guided in the way in which you think towards your family, your husband, and towards yourself. And you begin to look at opportunities that take you out without your husband reacting. You've got to be very wise about how you do these things. And ultimately and eventually, you watch the timing. Don't go and do overtime there. That one upsets all of them. Just find a way to do it. And eventually you start finding that you have more room to do more. It should be so. And if it's not so, then get a good counselor. It always works. Throw the clock away. Silence the ticking clock. In other words, find things to do that make you happy. Build your happy, grow your happy, and live your happy. If you're really, really a mature single, right? And significantly the years have added up, adopt a child, adopt a baby. They may not give you a baby boy because they tend to keep them at the orphanages. But you can get a beautiful baby girl. Give her a life, a destiny. Make yourself happy. Just, working around her. Most mature sisters have an economy, and you can afford to take care of that baby. You can afford to go to the school. By the time you start doing this, your happy is coming. You see, the truth is ultimately and eventually, you become the channel of joy for this one. If it's not, okay, I don't want to adopt a child, fine, don't adopt a cause. Find an advocacy you can throw yourself at and be committed to. It, whatever it is. You may say, okay, I don't want to adopt a cause. Okay, in the place of your faith, in your community, what can you do? What can you contribute to? You will see that when you contribute to good, good comes to you. I always say that people who are bitter make other people bitter. But when you make yourself happy, by making people happy, whatever is bitter in your life is healed and you're made whole. So, I would tell you to please find your happy. Be very deliberate. I always say happiness is an intentional gift you gift yourself with. It's your first human right as a woman. Always, 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 deliberately and intentionally, look for it, find it, engage it, live and become it. I already told you about number one challenge being me, getting through my personal challenges, about how I saw myself and self-limiting beliefs. Okay, people look at issues of betrayal, I think because I always trusted people, loved people, didn't believe people could hurt me, I wouldn't hurt people, well, so I would think. Maybe from their perspective, I hurt them. The truth is, don't think you're all that good. When you hear someone's perspective of you, it will shock you to know what they were thinking or they thought you meant by what you never intended. Either it was a tone or something you said inadvertently. You don't know what the experience is, where they're coming from, and they just took it and felt, she said this to me, or she said this about me. I've had instances like that. So it's not about me being all goody two shoes, but yes, definitely there's a place of where people I've trusted have walked away with, from business, or things like, yeah, that hurt. Those were challenges, but do you know, I've gone through those things, come through, and I've just come to realize that don't burn your bridges. People do things under different pressure at different points in time, and ultimately and eventually, I love using that expression. I'm sure you've heard me say it again and again. You will find that in the course of time, the truth of your stand, of your position, of your genuineness will come through. People do things because they are young and they don't understand tomorrow. People do things because they have a challenge with integrity, and even though they lie and tell people things about you that are not true about you, that hurt you when you hear that they said that about you, eventually people get to know they were lying. So why do you constrain yourself because someone said something nasty about you? Anyway, that's life. So not everybody will like you, but you can make sure that everybody respects what you don't like and what you do like. So that's within our own purview, and you can handle that. So yeah, that area. I know that there are challenges when it comes to economy, and I learned to reset my transactional value of myself. Many foolish things I did based on sentiment. I gave things to people I didn't need to give to them. They weren't necessarily even grateful for it because they just felt that, she has so much, what is it? And I've had to learn to really be how do I put it, convinced before I just give things. I don't just give out money anymore. If I give you money, myself and God had a conversation and I gave it to you. So it's a big lesson I had to learn, and over time. So how to be better money manager, handler, and giver. So those basically are areas I believe that women should watch out for. It's something my husband is an excellent overseer of me, and a guide and a guardian, a watch over my extremities. He knows my extremities. He knows what I'm capable of doing. He knows. So sometimes he's holding me that tight, just to try and make sure that I don't run off in another direction. But for him, more than anything else, it's just that he doesn't want to see me exploited, abused, or used. I've looked at it. Most husbands, actually, it's just they don't know how to communicate it properly. And I'm saying this based on my husband. It's not that they don't want you to excel, but they look at it and they see you as being more than that thing. Honestly. Why is this woman so carried away with this, or excited about this? And eventually, ultimately, they get to a place where, okay, all right, that works. But let some things will take time. Time doesn't kill. I heard something by someone recently, Sokubo Chedu, of the convener of the Female Leaders and Entrepreneurs Conference. She said, you got to learn, relearn, learn, unlearn, and relearn. Just be true to yourself, to your own self be true. Where you've missed it. If you've missed your way going home, don't you retrace your steps to get home. Retrace your steps. You can't continue to go in the wrong way because you're embarrassed that everybody will know you've lost your way. And then where will you end up? God forbid. If you've missed your way, retrace your steps and find your way home to the place of your place of engagement. So if you missed it with your money math, if you've missed it with your skill sets, if you've missed it following the wrong friends, pairing up, just reset your life. Be sincere, be true. Truth makes you free. Stop living the lie. Stop foaming. Stop trying to associate with people who don't even celebrate, respect, or recognize you. The minute you walk out of the door, they're saying things that denigrate you. No. When you begin to find your own personal value, you will dignify your true pedigree of self. So, I would advise, and then in these times, cut your coat according to your cloth. See, you must not live in that 3-bedroom. If it means you have to move out of a particular high-end area and go to a more humble area to reset, to return, do that. What you have left is enough for you to reset somewhere else and find an accommodable standard of life and living. Don't continue to beg around for rent. When you can earn something, manage it and live there. Some people have to go home to their villages. I mean it sincerely. When I say to your village, I mean to a place, you understand, where you revert and you can, from there, start up and come up. Sincerely speaking. And a lot of us women, and then look around you. If you're someone who invested, Auntie Betty Rabo was talking the other day about repenting over a Hermes bag she bought Hermes bag women buy, I don't know that she says she bought it, but you know, we repent over it and say that I could have invested in land, I could have done something wiser. You know, those bags, those designer things, they still have a lot of value. I know someone recently, she had spent money on jewelry and everything. She went and sold and she was able to use it to do something, a significant enough investment to begin to move her somewhere forward. All of a sudden she realized, I don't need to wear that. And so yeah, there is so much more that you and I can do in our lives. And I think most importantly, I would say, keep your dream alive. Don't let it die. Something deep inside you keeps inspiring you to try. Don't stop. Don't ever give up on you. Sometimes life will place a stumbling block in your way, but you've got to keep the faith and bring what's deep inside of your heart into the light. Never give up on you. Don't give up. Auntie Halima Yolade today, a timeout, never gave up. If she did, we would never be here. And she had enough reason to give up and stop going on. Here we are. Let's celebrate the sure that she is. I love that word, by the way, Auntie. And I say, if you've moved from being a she, a her, to being a sure, then you're on the way to being a shiro. Shiro, yes. Sure enough, that's what it is. God bless us all. And thank you once again to everyone who's on the platform with me today. It's a shout out from this hangout. DBL, Dayo, Benjamin's Laniyi.